Welcome back to the Workshop Handyman. I think it's about time. I'd like to give you kind of a once a year update on my workshop and go into a little bit of detail on what it is, what I'm working on, upgrades, this type of thing. So we'll just kind of walk through the shop, see what we have going on, what we've added over the last year, why it's been added, and the change I've made. Uh, and probably try to clue you in as to why I'm. You never know what you're going to get on my channel. For Workshop Handyman, I prefer woodworking in the shop here. I wouldn't call myself a cabinet builder or anything, but I do have a lot of abilities to duplicate and make things, and I kind of like to do that. Uh, Not the fine furniture builder, I wouldn't call that. Uh, but as you look at my channel, you know I do a lot of the porch swings, that type of thing without any problem. A couple of games, I've built those, cornhole boards, picnic tables, that type of thing. But anyway, so the shop is kind of here, and we'll walk through it and kind of talk to you about it and tell you why I put things where I did and maybe future plans on where I hope to go in the next year or so. So, anyways, we start out coming at the front door. I did make a change this year. Uh, when we come in, I've added, well, some levels, but I've also, this was my office area last year, was all open and getting dusty. I am a DeWalt fan. As you can see, I have all the DeWalt tools, and this is actually the top of a old desk I had in the office and moved it out here. It makes for pretty good storage for all the DeWalt tools. Uh, so we have a little bit of storage on that. I did have to come up this year with a sign out sheet because people like to borrow stuff and then I forget who borrows it. And if anybody else does that, of course, the people that borrow it always forget that they borrow stuff and fail to return it. So we made a list so I can keep up with who's borrowing what. I keep a couple of tools hanging here that I use flat and Phillips screwdriver all the time, so I kind of hung those right there. And then in the office, I closed her in because, like I say, I do like to work with the computers and this type of thing. So I do computer work out here, and the dusty environment of a workshop is probably not ideal. So I enclosed this year, and we've got, of course, security systems and all in here. This would be on. Then shows the all the cameras in the shop. So I definitely keep an eye on that. If somebody decides they want to come in, I'm going to know about it. We've got the radios and all, and of course you have to have a refreshment refrigerator here at the end of the day, or a little bit of water during the day. So gives me a little place to get away and see what I can do with it. So coming out of the office, though, we'll go down through the list of things we've done. Pretty much have my project board here to keep my notes on as I'm working on projects, a little hand towel cleanup, and I keep my dust collector remote here. We'll kind of look at that a little bit more, but I have a couple of remote controls so that I can clip that to my side, and then as I walk from tool to tool as I need it, I can just have my remote on my hip, and we go ahead and crank it on and off. Have my brooms and stuff hanging here, and another tool pouch. And we come to the planer. I like my big planer. It's definitely a beast. It's got the helical head and all on it. There's a video out there showing how I installed that. The big thing this year is I did improve the dust collection on it. I enlarged my dust collector hose up to the 5-inch that it's recommended coming out the back, and that's helped out a pretty good bit. It still doesn't collect at all with my dust collector, but it does a pretty decent job. I keep all my small scraps of wood, the smaller stuff hidden in behind this, leaned up against the wall, and a little bit taller stuff there too. That kind of keeps that out of the way a little bit. It gives me probably more scrap than I'll ever use, but you never know. So let's see, all my woodworking stuff, I did get little bins here. That kind of keeps those organized. Little screws and plugs and whatever not. From there, we come into basically my dust collector. This is a big improvement because in all the rest of my videos, you'll remember I had a bag collection out here, and it would come through this first stage and then go into the other one and collect up the fine stuff. And I found that the little bit of fines that I actually get out of it, I changed that over and I mounted my blower up on top so I could just get it out of the way, and I run a bigger line down to my separator, and then from there I've got a 5-inch trunk line. That one now goes up across and comes back down to the planer, and then the main system comes off the 4-inch one, so we can pick up all the rest of the tools off of this gate, and we keep this one closed except for when we're using a planer. And then that one comes up, and it has a couple of branches to that. One of them comes across, and now what used to feed the planer and the sander now feeds a vacuum hose. And this hose now is long enough to reach pretty much all the corners of the shop. So I can take that off instead of searching down a shop vac all the time. So that's a little bit better. The big improvement that I do have on this that I noticed that I didn't realize was going to happen is that when I took this and stuck it out the wall, the noise of that fan is cut in half. It sounds more like just the vacuum cleaner running in here instead of all that outside noise, which when you're standing out front, you definitely can hear it. But like I say, this is all set up. It's a 220 blower on this, and I have it plugged in here, and then I've got a little remote control module that sits right above it so that I can it intercepts that wire and sends it on. Works excellent. Keeps the thing shut off most of the time anyway. So anyways, the rest of that area up behind it's all my plumbing pipes and that kind of thing. As I say, woodworking is not my only venture. I've worked construction a good part of my life. I've got lots of rental properties, been doing rental maintenance, this type of thing forever, 45 plus years, even as a child. So in my shop you will find stuff like vinyl siding and trims and stuff also hide in here. But then the next thing I improved on is I added another pipe that comes across, and it drops down to my drum sander. So now it's an improvement because now the hose stays out of the way. It's plugged up in permanent, so I don't have to plug it in all the time. Its last location was, of course, over here. The big problem I had there was by the time I plugged it into my workbench on this side, I had the cord in the way, and the hose for the dust collection came from this side. So then when I went to work on it, I had to duck and dive hoses the whole time I was working on it. So we moved it over to this side, gets it out of the way a little bit, and I can stand at the side and feed the boards much easier. So I do like that, and it's got enough hose to move it. I did put a gate in this so that I can keep that closed off when not in use. Let's see, we did add a few more clamps and a little bit better mounting for those. Of course, we never can have too many clamps, so I'll continue to add to those. Let's see, what else do we have that's probably of interest over here? If you've not seen my other videos, I do have a panel saw in here, and it is definitely makes cutting up your 4x8 sheets a whole lot easier. If you don't have a big sled table saw and that kind of thing, or you're working by yourself. So we have that in here. That helps out a lot. And then in the back of the shop, because I did do a lot of vinyl siding work and this type of thing, I do have a 10-foot, 6-inch brake, metal brake. So we can do that. And you can see I have wood stacked everywhere. I'm running out of room, so I need to come up with more there. A little bit of cupboard space. And over here we keep more of our longer lumbers. and anything that's new timber, 4x4s, this type of thing. And we have a few of the more exotic woods. There's some, I don't know, maple and redwood and whatever buried back in here. So there's some good old knotty pine flooring, which cleans up real nicely through the planer and looks brand new. You can't grow a tree that way anymore. And some more storage under that. And of course the big lumber storage here keeps my 4x8 sheet goods in, and just miscellaneous lumbers and stuff stacked on top of that. So as I move through, we've got lots of trim and one-bys, this type of stuff is all the new stuff. And up in this corner is pretty much your mobile home supplies. So it'll have the inexpensive, but, well, very expensive, but cheap trim for mobile homes to keep my rentals up, which is, most of mine are mobile homes. So I'm good at working on those, did it for several years. The next tool would be the Delta tool here with all the equipment hung up. And that one has not been played with a whole lot yet, but hopefully we'll have some time to get in and make a few more projects with that. We'll have to kind of play that by ear, but hopefully we'll get to that in a short time. I guess we'll continue on into the other side of the shop here. This is where we have a few tools, but most of my supplies are kept up here for all my rental stuff. Extra stand, there's the old dust collector that I removed. I still have a fan on it, so I might hook that up and use that as a portable one in case I have a project I need to do that with. My channel, I do keep my maintenance up on my Kubota, and there's a couple videos on that. I like to kind of show that a little bit. I have a little bit of mechanical ability to also. I much prefer the wood over the grease and that, but this tractor stays in pretty good shape. So we do our own oil changes and that kind of thing on this. So there's videos out there for that, but this is a 2007, it's a 2800, L2800 model. Love my tractor. That's the reason I would never move into the city, because I'd have no place to park my tractor. So I'll have to stay out here in the country. Another tool that's kind of useful is my glass cutting station. So I can cut some pretty good sized pieces of glass, makes it a whole lot easier. So this is pretty much all we have on this side of the shop for tools. And we'll come back in. We'll kind of go down the line here of what else we have for equipment. In the middle of the shop, I have the workbench, my original workbench, and that follows up with my table saw. I keep a piece of paneling over the top of it, and it has a router built into the end of it, which is super. I don't think I'd ever buy another table saw without it. I use that as much as any of my other router tables. But I do have to keep a piece of plywood over it, because certain times of the year, if you look up into the peak of this, everything's insulated except for that fiberglass up there, and that creates a little bit of dew, and it drops right on my table saw and puts rough spots. So I throw the plywood over it, keep it from doing that. It only happens on occasion, but I get in the habit of leaving it on there just because I don't want to take the chance. So anyways, from there we've got the rigid joiner, and it's been a good one, and it also has the helical head on it. So I highly recommend the old helical head. Boy, that makes a difference in your capabilities of cutting. And of course, it's all the dust collection here. The table saw, it collects its dust from a pipe that I have stuck underneath the table, and I simply bring it over, and I can stick that onto that while I use it. And then if I don't use it, I keep it kicked up under the table, and keeps me from tripping over it. So that's a real quick hookup and easy to do. And like I say, give it a kick, it goes up under the table, and I can forget about it. The table is powered up with the extension cord up here, which comes down and has an outlet on both ends of the workbench, and it powers the saw. Now, hopefully this year, I'm going to add a new saw. I'd like to get a cabinet saw in here and get it so that the workbench actually lines up exactly with it. So when I'm pushing stuff off, it's not falling down into the center of this area that has no table. And I would like to get something that's a little bit of an upgrade. This has been a good old saw and had it for many years. And I probably won't get rid of it. I would probably like to do put a dado head in that or something along that line, and put it someplace where if I need the dado, I don't have to swap back and forth. So I think 2 table saws would be good, and the table saw is probably not worth enough to make it worth selling it. So we'll stay with keeping it around and just putting a dado head or something on it. So from there, the next tool is my brand new bandsaw. It's a Grizzly GO513, 17-inch. So it is pretty massive. I just got this, so I haven't played with it a whole lot. It gives me a little over 12 inches cutting height from here to the table. And of course the 17 inches is going to be from the blade back to the upright. So it's a big saw. It's a 220 volt also, and hopefully we'll get a lot of good projects out of that. It'll be a whole lot better than the old one I had, upgraded for sure. And it's of course all tied in also with the dust collection system, so it's ready to go. And then we come down through, I've got another router table and stand, because you can't have too many routers either, I don't think. And then all our router bits are above that to keep up with them. Almost got those filled up. I have to add some more space. But we keep that router and an identical one right beside it. If you're doing drawers or door styles and rails, it's nice to have both of them set up side by side so you don't have to swap back and forth. If you make an error, you don't have to try to readjust it, this type of thing. So that works pretty good with 2 of those. And of course, on the bottom, I have my big portable one. So if I need to do it someplace else, and the one on the table saw. So that gives me 3 router tables and 20 volt cordless and another Bosch handheld. So I think I ought to be covered on the routers, at least for now. Next one is my rigid sander, and this of course has the spindle sander, and it does have a belt that I can put on it also. Most of the time I keep the spindle on there because I do have another belt sander, and that's this Delta. And it's pretty good old high power thing too. Pretty much ain't gonna slow that one down a whole lot. So looks like it needs a new disc on the end of it, but it's still getting there. So that works out pretty good. I like it. And so we'll move from there. Most of my hardware and stuff I keep lined up on these shelves. Nuts, or my nails, screws, legs, this type of thing. Some of the more common screws packed in here, so we pretty much have one spot to get them all. And over here I have lots of doors that cabinet doors I've collected over the years. We keep those around and repurpose, reuse, whatever. Scrap wood again. And we go into the drill press. Good old drill press, been around a long time. It was my dad's, and he hasn't been around for a long time, so still works good. They've made a lot of improvements since this one was back in the 70s someplace, probably anyways. But as long as it's working, I'm going to hold on to that for a while. And the next would be my hole saws. You got to have those, and my drill bits and all that, Forstner bits. And then we come across the top up here, and that's all my nail guns, skill saws, drills, that type of stuff. I did recently add a little place to do my sanding. Added the sandpaper rack, so kind of keeps those over here. I thought originally I was going to, when I first set the place up, I anticipated the table over there to be kind of my sanding and finishing table, but it ended up not really having the room I needed, so I've moved it out here and got it on my workbench, and this works a whole lot better. I keep a full selection of small clamps down here. That's where I'm most of the time going to need them, so I can reach them and grab them up real quick. So they hold up pretty good under there. I like that. And then everything else pretty much underneath the bench. These are mainly jigs and stuff and patterns that I've made. So we keep those up under there. I can dig those out as needed. Okay, let's see what's next on the tour here. Over here we keep, the next thing is a radial arm saw. This here again is an old saw. This was my father's also from years back. So he had that, like I say, back in the 70s. I don't know exactly when he got it or who he even got it from. It might have been used when he got it. So it's been around a long time, but it's a good saw. Works good for cutting up bigger lumber, 2x and stuff like that. You don't need real accuracy on. So I don't have a sliding compound miter. I have just the standard miter, which I hope to swap out sometime this year and use this more for my, when I have to go out and do work. Take this one with me and put the sliding compound miter in this spot and modify it. I'm not going to be able to stick with the DeWalt though, because of where it's located. I don't have enough room behind it to get the slide back there. It would hit the wall and force this to be pushed out toward the front, which would take away some of my bench space. So I think I'm probably going to go with a little different model on that one. So we're going to do a little bit of search on that. The Bosch, I think, did a pretty good one, and might look at that. So, and of course, these are both set up on dust collection, and you can select, choose which one it is by pulling the handle out. Works one, the second one, blows them off completely, and that also allows you to look in there and see the dust flying, so you know you got it valved in. So that's a good dust collection. And let's see, we've got toolboxes for the regular tools, portable air compressor. I don't like listening to that either, so most of my air is used coming from my other shop. And I had a video on that one too. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's actually hooked up to a smart receptacle, and a smart air valve is actually what it is. It's a switch going to an air valve, and when I tell my little Alexa to turn on the air supply, it turns the valve on in the other shop and supplies my air over here. So much better. I don't have to listen to the air compressor, but when I do go out on jobs, I do like to take my little one, so I have to do that. And on the other note, of course, I have to keep my watchdog around, so I do have Snoopy up here in the shop. He always keeps me informed as to who comes and goes from the shop. Everybody's got to have a good watchdog, so I also have lots of cameras. And this is just another station to hold a little bit of stuff. So that's about all there is in that. So I think that pretty much covers everything in this shop. If you have any questions about it or why I did something, let me know on that. But we'll kind of move out of this one. Like I say, I try to keep my woodworking in this shop primarily, except for the other side. I will do the tractor maintenance because it fits in this shop. It doesn't fit in my other shop. We'll take a walk over there because I haven't shown you that. Like I say, primarily I do like to work with wood. It's a lot cleaner. I just enjoy it. The smell of the wood being cut and making sawdust is fantastic. And I do like my country area. And this is out the front side where I have my dust collector now comes through. And it does still throw a little bit of stuff out, but I was out here planing for several hours, and you can see there's just a little bit of wood chips that come out here. So probably run the lawnmower over this one time, and it'll probably pretty much make that disappear, I would imagine. So over here, back when I was being a contractor in my younger days, that is one of the qualifications I have. Is I am a licensed builder. I didn't want you to see the combination on that. Sorry about that. Anyways, so this old building here is my old shop, and I still use it for my lawnmower maintenance and that kind of thing. So it's still packed in here pretty tight. I've got a little welder hiding under my welding shirt there. All my nuts and bolts are all organized, classified from stainless steel to standard, metrics, all that kind of organized out. All my cleaners and oil supplies up on the tops of these shelves. And my vise and scrap metal, so I can do a little bit of welding. And all my metalworking tools, this type of thing in here. Also have, I try to keep it a little bit organized. It's tough though, but we have a fair amount of tools in here to work on a little bit of anything. And a couple of toolboxes. But this old shop, it actually used to have my table saw actually right there. Got the grinders and stuff there now. But this old building was a garage that I had down in town, and the person wanted it tore down, and I brought it back, and that's why all these boards in behind here are all painted different colors and whatnot, is because I brought all that home because that's what I could afford at the time, and we used that to build most of this shop. So it kind of does good. And probably some of my videos, you might have seen my hoist. I put an I-beam up here, so that's not going anywhere. That's a pretty solid I-beam. I can lift lawnmowers and this type of thing from overhead instead of trying to pick them up with jacks. So it cranks down and lifts them. Makes it pretty convenient. Also have a set of very dangerous stairs that lead up into the storage location. We keep our Christmas and stuff up there because that's much better than having it in an attic, I think. And yes, I do like to play a little frisbee golf. I also have a video, I think, out there someplace on that. Made my own golf course. So we have lots of fun with that when people stop over. Okay, and then we have our grinders and buffing wheels, that kind of thing in here. So this part of the shop, like I say, mainly takes care of my mechanical needs. I don't do a whole lot with cars, so they get a little bit too confusing for me. And in the back, I try to keep all my gasoline and stuff like that back here, and my gas-powered equipment, simply because I don't like it up there when I'm welding. It's much better to have it back here. So we got a big stand-up compressor here, a 33-gallon tank, and mostly use that in this shop. And then the other compressor that I have hooked up for the woodworking shop is here, and this would be the little air valve that I stuck on here. And like I say, when it turns on, the light comes on, so I know that valve's open, and then it's piped over, goes underground and picks back up over on the other side. And if I need it in here for doing something in the shop, I do have another tap there that I can tap in, and it runs up over the top and just ties back into the other half of that. So that kind of gives me plenty of air in here if I need to do that. I keep most of my old computer parts out here, and then the rest of it's pretty much lawnmower equipment and golf bags, golf clubs. We like to go out back, and I've got a pretty good yard out there. We can knock some golf clubs around. So that makes for this tour. I think there's not really a whole lot of excitement, I don't think, in here, but it's a good old shop. So it's been working for a good many years. Have a lot of fun out here too. Let's see, where else do we need to show you? Anything else? I say out behind the house we got the this is where we do our golfing. There's a tree way out there in the corner, and we stand here and we can get a good shot, and we compete to see who can get closest to the tree. That makes it kind of fun. So, and let's see, what else have we got to say? So I think that's about got everything updated in the shop. If you have any questions, I'd love to have them sent to me. I guess YouTube likes to have the comments and all. Kind of helps me out. If you subscribe, you never know what you'll get into when you're watching my videos. Like I say, I've got a lot of different hobbies and stuff, and a lot of experience from woodworking to mechanical to industrial electrician for many years. I was in the Air Force working on airplanes. So I'm not really what I would call a professional in any one subject, but I definitely have a lot of experience in a lot of subjects. So that's what I get into, and I try to share all those projects and fun things with y'all. And you may not be interested in all of them, but I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Punch that little bell, and that'll let you know that I've put out another video. And comment, like I say, and if you haven't had a chance yet, subscribe. I sure would appreciate that. It kind of makes me know that I'm at least helping or giving somebody some ideas on stuff, and keeps me motivated to make more videos. So, and keeping up with the projects. So I think that's all we got. I do appreciate y'all joining me on this little tour. I hope it's been a good one. It's a one shot and done. I'm not going to edit it a whole lot, I don't think. So we'll just run with it and let it be what it is. And I kind of show a lot of my mistakes. So I definitely am learning as I go. So we'll give it that go. And again, thank you, and we'll check you out on the next video.